What is pretty privilege? Is it considered being lighter skinned? Is it being of a softer hair type, a straighter nose? Like, what are really the benefits of being pretty? Do you get private planes? Do you get private boats? Do you have access to certain spaces, be it VIP, be it private, whatever. It's just like, what is the conversation? And that's what I want to have today. I want to really get into what are the benefits of being pretty. Do you believe you've benefited from colorism?
I really do believe that I have benefited from colorism. Yes.
Yeah, I do.
In a sense, yes.
Yeah, I do.
Most definitely benefited from colorism to a certain degree.
I do think that I have benefited from colorism, particularly living in a country where, although it may not be blatant, lighter skin tones seem to fare very well. I can remember even going back as far as high school, and that was kind of the era where Lil Wayne and all the rappers would be obsessed with red bones and yellow bones and all of that. So at the time, you don't really realize that just on the basis of your skin tone, boys and men are more attracted to you. But now I do realize, yeah, I have.
I think that the shade of my skin has made my life a little bit easier to a certain extent, especially when I go out with my mother, who is Caucasian. She's a Koyjah, and when people see me out with her, it's a little bit easier, right? Versus if I'm with my dad, who is African American or Afro-Caribbean. I do believe that colorism is an issue that we have here in the Bahamas, not only here in the Bahamas, but also in all over the world, because whether it's Western or Eastern, everybody does aspire to have that lighter color, smoother kind of a complexion.
When I enter certain spaces, I am white spaces, I am the non-threatening black one, I'm the one that they can talk to without being like, oh, I don't want to, you know what I mean.
I just feel like a lot of Bahamians prefer lighter, people of lighter color, especially males.
Colorism has been a major issue around the globe, and particularly within the Caribbean. It's a discussion that most people don't like to talk about, but a discussion we need to have. Do you believe the Bahamas is a colorist country?
Yes, I do. I mean, I don't think that it's a country that tries to make it seem like it's a colorist country, but I do believe from personal experience that this country does favor a lighter skin tone person rather than what they emanate as the, typical Bahamian. They do go for I do feel like they go for, or they favor a certain look of a person.
Yes, I do believe that the Bahamas is a colorist country. I think that colorism is something that Bahamians have to face every single day whenever they step out, whenever they're going to apply for a job. I once heard that at a certain hotelier that they were once told, do not hire anyone that is of a dark complexion.
I've seen it in my day-to-day life. Sometimes, like I said, as being a product of a mixed combination with my parents, one is considered black, one actually considered a Koyjah white. I've seen it with my mother. She would be treated as a white woman, and my father, he would be treated as, he is less than. And then even more so in my friend groups, when I hang with my lighter complexion friends, they get more benefits, more advantages. As far as when I hang with my darker skin friends, yeah, they would get some advantages or benefits because they're females. That's a whole nother thing. But the darker complexion friends don't get as much benefits as the lighter complexion friends.
You can look at any space and see that dark skinned people are treated way differently to a certain degree than their light skinned counterparts. You can see it even in our like ads for like tourism. They're mainly cater to a white demographic when we are a predominantly black country. And when they do try and put black people in those ads, they're more of a lighter complexion. Even the models that we have in this country are more lighter tone than they are dark. There was a certain modeling competition that was even, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, there was a modeling competition that, people criticized for like having so many light-skinned women in their competition and having barely any dark-skinned women in it, so.
I won a modeling competition that people perceive to be colorist, but in my opinion, I don't believe it was. Quick disclaimer, this has no publication on One of a Kind whatsoever. This is my personal opinions and thoughts. So people only can perceive what they see. So the ignorance of believing that it was a colorist competition and that light skins were preferred over dark skin was not really thoroughly thought out. From the inside looking out, it kind of looked ignorant because it was like you don't really know what's happening behind the scenes. You only see what is being posted on YouTube throughout the episodes. And a lot of persons gave a lot of good opinions, and I agree with them. Not a lot of dark-skinned models applied, and that was evident, and I could see it through the applications. Not a lot of dark-skinned models applied. And is that because of One of a Kind's fault? No. I feel as though the country doesn't promote dark-skinned models as they should. A lot of lighter-skinned models are preferred, maybe because that's just the narrative, but we have to encourage darker-skinned models to be more confident in themselves, to say, hey, you can make it in this market along with lighter-skinned people. We're all black in the end. So I don't believe it was color.
The Bahamas tourism industry has been under scrutiny for its lack of diversity, but does tourism in the Bahamas appropriately represent the Bahamas?
Oh, no.
I do not believe that the tourism industry appropriately reflects the Bahamas, because if you look at a lot of our commercials and a lot of our branding, it's a lot of blonde hair, blue eyes. It's very Aryan. None of them are really it's like a true representation of the Bahamian people and of the Bahamian culture. And if you look at some of our competitors, such as Jamaica or Guyana or St. Lucia, they are showing their people, which are black and beautiful, and they are in these urban areas. And we don't even show like downtown fish fry, none of that. It's always the pigs or the iguanas, or even like the glass window bridge, which are all beautiful, but that's not, to me, a true representation of what the Bahamas has to offer.
They don't, and they suck at it. They don't give a fuck about us. They don't care about what we think. We've said it before. Y'all should put more Bahamians on ads and tourism. Y'all should promote Bahamians more instead of bringing people all the way from the States, spending unnecessarily money that y'all say y'all don't have. But that's another topic. Yeah, it's just stupid.
The pageant industry is glamorous, but behind the gowns and crowns, are the models treated equally? Are the lighter contestants favored to win? And how do the contestants feel once the competition is over?
It's a very harsh industry. However, I will say this, is that when I came back from Miss Universe, I felt so much more confident within myself that I was able to compete against these phenomenal international women. And I was like, Danny, you're that girl.
I must say that you must have a very thick skin when you get into pageantry. It's not for the faint of heart. You have every piece of you analyzed and nitpicked at. Is one eye bigger than the other? Is your waist small enough? Are your hips big enough? Like, the pageantry industry will literally take you apart into little pieces and then put them into little compartments and then slam you back together. It's very disorienting, and especially for a young woman who doesn't know herself quite as yet. You know, you have like the fad diets, these things that you're supposed to do, and all the crazy things that are involved with pageantry. So for me personally, it was a very wonderful and transformative experience because of the sisterhood and because of all the things that you got to do and experience while you were doing the pageant, because it wasn't just walking around on a stage and wearing beautiful dresses and putting on a swimsuit and having your picture taken. It was a transformative experience, learning how to do an interview, how to market yourself, and how to be an all-around more well-rounded and well-spoken young woman.
Social media has affected how many people view beauty, but is it for the better or for worse?
Just makes it so much easier, and then people look at these photos and like, oh my god, like I wish I had a waist as small as hers, or I wish that my bottom was a little bit more shapelier, but it is very rough, and a lot of young women are getting plastic surgery now, and they're making it seem like they be in the gym trying to get these bodies, when in actuality it's all just a facade.
Whenever I scroll on Instagram and see like the people with the little tiny waist and a nice big round butt and and all that, the clear skin, the nice long flowing hair, all that stuff, it made me insecure in myself because I don't look like that.
And a good-looking person without, being cocky or egotistical about it. I think I'm a genuinely good-looking person, but there are times I'll scroll on Instagram and be like, oh, this girl has pretty hair. Oh, she has a nicer body, or like, I like how her eyes look. Then I think like, how do I get my eyes to look like this? Is it a filter? Is it this? But then I always have to remind myself, it's really unrealistic.
Does beauty come with privileges? And if so, what are they? Is it avoiding speeding tickets, having to pay bills, or having access to the glamorous life of private planes and boats?
Yes, well, I've never gotten pulled over to get a ticket before because I try to be a good law-abiding citizen of this great nation. However, most definitely whenever you go out to like the restaurant or to a bar and the guy's like, I'm just gonna get this, and you're like, thank you, appreciate you. So yeah.
The only one time I've ever gotten a ticket is because a woman pulled me over. Every other time, I would just smile and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, officer. And they're just, smile, put a little pickup line, tell me I'm pretty, and then I'd be on my way. Bills, same thing to a certain degree, I'd go out with my friends. A nice guy would, see me and be like, hey, think you're attractive, you want a drink? I'd be like, yeah, sure. And they end up, paying for drinks the whole night, so.
I'm a good girl, lawyer, but I have definitely had my bills paid for and gotten things for free for being attractive, yes.
There was a time where I was driving and a police officer pulled me to the side and, in exchange for not giving me a ticket, they wanted my number, so I gave them my dad's number, but like I didn't get the ticket.
It all depends on how that person really looks at you though. They may be like, okay, this person is really pretty, I'm gonna go buy this person a bag or some clothes, or they may just call you a cab, or you want some dinner, you at dinner and they buying you drinks, so it is a privilege.
I do believe that being pretty is a privilege. You look at so many bits of research around the world where people basically say like, yes, we are going to give you things because you're beautiful. We are going to do things for you because you're beautiful. People think that you're more trustworthy because you're beautiful. So I definitely think that being pretty is a privilege.
I absolutely believe that it's a privilege. I have gotten out of several situations just based on how I look, my face alone. But yes, I've seen myself receive a lot of advantages because of how I look, as opposed to if I were less attractive to most people, I would have been treated very poorly. People would have told me not to speak out of place, as opposed to me being pretty, or perceived as being pretty. I get a bit better treatment sometimes.
The Bahamas is considered a melting pot for many ethnic backgrounds, often resulting in many multiracial families. But is the country a country for Black people?
I think the Bahamas is a country for a certain echelon of Black people. If you have a certain last name in the Black community, I think that it is a lot easier for you I do not feel that it is a country for those who have a darker complexion. Definitely not, no. I definitely believe that the Bahamas is for expats and conky Joes more so than Black Bahamians.
So as the people here would know, but the people, I guess, in the documentary wouldn't know, my last name is Isaacs. Yeah, like the National Stadium. Shout out my great-grandfather. But having that last name has really helped, because normally when they see me, once again, dark skin with locks, usually certain stereotypes are applied to me. And it's usually when two things happen. Either I start talking or they see an ID and they see my last name. And then they ask who my father is, and then they realize, oh, you're, educated, or you're from a certain family. Then their behavior started to change. I can give an example. Even when I was pulled over to police, me and my brother were driving home. This is nearly 10 years now. Me and my brother were driving home at 11:30. It wasn't even that late. It was like around 11:30, 12 a.m. And we were heading by not Saunders Beach, where the new Jimmy Buffett is, that corner. And police cut us off. We stopped, of course. The police came out, guns pointing at the car, in which me and my brother all instinctively just had our hands up. Of course, they kind of talked to us a little rough, and were asking, the CIDs, things like that. So the moment I gave my driver's license, a minute, 2 minutes later, they came and was like, you can go. It was like their attitude towards us completely changed. And I think it's because they realized, when they saw the last name, they realized who we were.
I would say yes and no, because I feel like maybe white people excel more, but at the end of the day, like, Black people still do well in the country. It's not only white people who do well, there are still Black people who do well. So I'd say more for the white, but then it's not like completely,
I really don't think that the Bahamas is a country for Black people. I've just seen so many times over where you have expats who come into our country. You have so many people who just come into the Bahamas and they have no ties here, but they can get the ultimate benefit. They don't get any taxations like the rest of the Bahamians do. Like, I worked with someone who basically would only get a slap on the wrist whenever he would commit some kind of crime or not pay a tax or anything like that, and it's because he was white. And I think that's a really unfortunate thing in our society, that Bahamians have to suffer, but the people who do come here and they put them on a pedestal more so than anything gain the benefit of our country.
It may sound horrible because I am not a Black person saying that, but from what I've seen and what I've heard from others' experiences, that they are Black, people are very against Black people, like their own people, unfortunately.
We really are slaves. It feels like the colony again, and we just live. Kunta Kinte is running around, and that's how they treating us, to be honest.
Because our tourist industry brings mainly a white demographic, and they feel like they need to cater to that more than anything else. They think the Black people don't have money, so they don't care, but they think the white people do, and it's like, no, there's broke white people too, and there are rich Black people even in this own country that they even neglect. You have to be twice as good just to get a quarter of what the average mediocre white person would get in this country, and it's not fair. It's not okay. People from other countries can even come in there and buy up our land like it's okay, mainly because the government thinks they're rich and they're white, so they're obviously better than the Black rich people that we have here. Even to a certain degree, the Black rich people who are here don't even care about the other Black people that are here. So
it's shitty, because why are you treating white people better than your own people? For example, you could walk in the casino, you just in there. You could look fly as fuck, you could look rich as fuck, speak very, very, very smart. The minute you put on your Bahamian accent, they be like, oh, bro, get pussy or some shit like that. Like, they get out. They treat you really different. Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a country for Black people. I say this because of what I've seen. You know, I went to a school in the Bahamas where there were a lot of, let's say, like white children. And then I also went to a school where, you know, there wasn't as many white kids as well. And it was the difference in seeing how they were treated in the Bahamas and the way they were viewing the Bahamas had made me think, okay, this is not really a country for what should be, you know, majority Black country, you know?
Depends who you talk to. Because if you're talking for the poor set of Bahamians, of course they would say no. People who are more affluent or from more affluent families would probably say yes. So you could say the Bahamas for Bahamians, but like I said, it depends on who you talk to. For me personally, I wouldn't say yes, just because of what I've seen and what I've experienced. And I can't, in my heart, lie and say, yeah, it's for Bahamians.
Which would you prefer, beauty or intelligence?
Brains. Honestly, I really don't care about looks.
Intelligence, but I mean, why do we have to pick? Why can't we have both? Just saying. I mean, just saying.
Intelligence, beauty fades. Intelligence is forever. Most definitely.
I'd rather be intelligent, to be honest. I like being able to hold a conversation with someone, like talk about different things. My intelligence can, you know, put me somewhere further. Beauty can also do that, but I have more confidence in intelligence than beauty.
I do like something nice to look at. I would say in the initial stages of attraction, I would say beauty.
Do people who are both beautiful and intelligent have to work harder to prove their intelligence?
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, it's frustrating because I do think that I am a relatively smart person, but you know, I've gotten told before, you know, I'm too pretty to be a lawyer. And it's like, okay, what does that mean? It's almost, it's like they're overlooking my actual skills and talents. You know, I pride myself off of being a smart person, but I work hard, you know, and for that to be overlooked, to say that, oh, you're better off, like, if you probably weren't in this sort of industry, you know? Like, I've been told maybe modeling would be a better sort of fit for me. I've never modeled, but a better fit for me than law. But it was like, but I'm good at law too, so like. In school, I felt a lot in school. My professors, I had an instance, I don't know, because obviously they would never say they were treating me a certain way because they thought I was pretty, but I definitely got the feeling that, you know, they were treating me differently. I didn't fit. Maybe they had already an image in their head of what I should have been like, you know? A pretty person in media and how it's always portrayed is not necessarily smart. So maybe they had pictured in their head that maybe she's not a smart girl. So, you know, I felt like they were a lot harder on me. Maybe they were challenging me to see if I could push myself to that limit, but I definitely felt I was being treated differently. And maybe that was because of my looks. Or maybe it was because of, you know, I was in a different country too. It could have been a lot of things.
In boarding school in the UK, I wasn't, it was quite an academic school, and I was quite fortunate to get in. So when I was there, I didn't do well academically, and they bullied me for that because I wasn't as smart as them or the rest of the people, and I didn't get as good grades. So I wanted to change that and to show off what I can do, and so I took myself into doing sports, and that's what I'm quite passionate about. And I took that from the academic side into the sports field, and that changed a lot of people's opinions about me from there on.
I do feel that way, because I could have a conversation with somebody and they wouldn't expect me to just have all this knowledge or to speak a certain way, and I'm like, damn, bro, that's how you really think of me just because I'm a pretty dude. It's pretty messed up. But yeah, I do have to work harder.
Also, because of my race, I feel like people automatically assume I'm intelligent, which isn't a bad thing. That's kind of like a nice stereotype to have. But obviously when they first see me, I would like to think I'm a pretty girl. So, you know, they're like, oh, she's pretty, but is she also smart? I mean, I think they both, you know, coincide together.
Yes, I do. Especially working for the Ministry of Tourism. When I first started, even my boss, she was just like, oh my gosh, she's just a Miss Bahamas. I don't want her in my department. She probably isn't very, very smart. And I had to prove myself to show her that, listen, I am very intelligent. And now I work there full time, and I was only supposed to have a year contract there. And even when I first applied to the Ministry of Tourism, they wanted to send me out to the airport to be a greeter. And I said, no, I have a degree. I said, I'm not gonna go to the airport to be a greeter. You can put me in another department where I can actually be useful. So I do feel that I do have to push myself further and prove to others that I am intelligent and not just beautiful.
I think so, yeah, I do. Even when you dress up and you look nice, I think everybody automatically takes this assumption that you can be vapid and wasting your time getting your hair and your nails done and all of that, which is actually not really the case. Most of the time I don't look like this. Most of the time I'm actually working at home remotely in my workout clothes because I have to fit so much into my daily schedule. So I do think that you have to work twice as hard because of these societal kind of impressions.
What is pretty privilege? Is it access? Is it being able to gain success just off being beautiful? Is it having an easier life based off your looks?
I think it's a fine line. I could say personally that I have gotten benefits in terms of people would let me do things or let me get away with things because they thought that I was attractive. But then certain doors were actually closed to me just because they thought that my beauty was a threat.
And at the end of the day, if you can look at places where people have access in terms of, or especially like Albany, Lifer Key, even certain schools, St. Andrews, QC, calling names, you can see that lighter skin is usually lighter skin or upper class. And usually people who are associated with upper class are lighter skinned white people.
It's, I've definitely noticed here that it's different than over in the UK. So for instance, I've never really clocked it beforehand. I've definitely noticed here, if you were maybe in the rich areas like Lifer Key or Old Fort, they may take into account that they don't care as much if you're probably white compared to if you're black. I've noticed that with being some of my friends that have maybe like had issues with that. Also, say for instance, if police are like going by you or like you're doing a roadblock or something like that, they would care less than say if you're white. If you're white than black, I've noticed here.
When society thinks that you're beautiful and when you have, like you said, the right skin tone or the right shape, right height, whatever, you can definitely get advantages on a basic level. So going out, going to clubs, going to restaurants, and just generally, people I think are more willing to be kind and considerate to a person that is more attractive.
Being pretty is a privilege, and those who benefit from it are aware of how much easier their life is due to the fact that people love beauty.